It is difficult to overstate the role which Liverpool Parish Church had in the town in the 18th and 19th centuries. We've got some incredible archives which show national political movements in microcosm. The documents which I find most remarkable are about electoral reform in the 19th century. The Peterloo Massacre in Manchester in 1819 was the most significant event in working class pressure for an extension of the franchise. It was suppressed, with disastrous consequences, by the gentry, as the magistrates read the Riot Act and the militia turned on the protesters. However, history shows that it is often the middle classes who bring about social change or revolution, and this is what we glimpse in our archives. At the start of the 19th century, you could vote if you fulfilled a rather narrow set of criteria, which mainly revolved around land ownership within certain categories in a borough. Owning a house was not really enough. In a town such as Liverpool, where there was substantial wealth accumulating through trade and shipping, the significant men, and they were all men, did not own land, but their position was through commerce. Despite this, they did not qualify for the vote. These were not the class of people who gathered on St. Peter's Field in Manchester, but their connection with the establishment was through the parish. In our archives is this unique document. It is a petition from 1830 to the churchwardens from the ratepayers of Liverpool. It reads, "We, the undersigned ratepayers, respectfully request that you will call a general vestry or a meeting of the ratepayers of this parish to take into consideration the propriety of petitioning Parliament for such an alteration in the elective franchise as will give to the ratepayers the privilege of voting at elections for members of Parliament, and generally that Parliament will adopt such measures as will render the House of Commons a more faithful representation of the people." There then follow 9 pages of signatures, and even on this first page you can see names which stand out in the history of Liverpool, including William Rathbone, Thomas Brocklebank and George Holt. There is a note on the final page of the petition to say that it was agreed that a meeting should take place, and a date is given. For some reason, this meeting was not minuted, and so we have no record of what was said. However, it was not just the agitation of mass gatherings in Manchester that brought about reform, but also the pressure of the merchant classes in Liverpool, which made reform an economic as well as a political necessity. Lord Grey's Whig government finally passed the Great Reform Act in 1832. I turned 18 in 1993, and because I grew up in London, I didn't get to vote until the local elections in 1994, when all the London boroughs were up for election. Like many people, I still remember the excitement as I made my cross on the ballot paper for the first time. Ever since then, I've always voted, even in moments of disillusionment, because I have felt that participation in the democratic process is still an exciting privilege. I also feel that it is only by exercising that right that I can comment with validity on the behaviour of our elected officials between elections. I'm not a bystander, but a participant. So imagine the excitement of this man, John Eaton, when he got the vote. The system of rates were administered by the parish and funded everything from the workhouse to the city drains. And so we have a few of the assessments floating about our archives. It was through the rate assessments that men were added to the electoral roll. This was Eaton's first registration under the Reform Act as an elector for the borough of Liverpool. This was still a long way from universal suffrage, but the Great Reform Act of 1832 was about towns and cities such as Liverpool, whose wealth creators were finally allowed into the club of government.